Hi, this is Roger Allen, and I'm on the legendary Rhythm and Blues cruise, and I'm currently talking to the fantastic Colin James. Welcome to the Blues and Soul Show, Colin.
Thank you very much.
Now, I've got a confession to make, and, you know, ladies, don't take it the wrong way, but I lost my virginity with Colin the other day.
I'm not sure how that sounds.
But we know what we mean. Obviously, the first people on the Blues, we're the first time cruisers, aren't we?
Mm-hmm,
and
yeah.
obviously we're classed as virgins until the first night, aren't you?
That's right.
And then you can officially get cruise laid.
I didn't know what to expect. I'm not sure if you did. I mean, not really.
It was good for me. I don't know if it's good for you or not. But jeez, I woke up with a smile on my face anyway.
Yeah, right. I quit smoking, or else I'd offer you a cigarette.
Now, obviously, I've only heard about you for the last couple of years, you know, from obviously independent radio broadcasts. You get privileged, you know, releases from you or your company. Mm. I didn't realise you made so many albums.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I can't even believe it.
I looked on a few sites, you know, on this cruise and that, and they're all only you can get them in the UK's on import. You know?
Yeah, I know. A lot of them aren't. Well, some of them are in print, some aren't. You know, I've been on a lot of different labels. I think the only major label I haven't been on is Sony.
Yeah.
And I was indie on an indie label as well for a while, but yeah, there's a lot of records.
So you're a native of Vancouver, Canada.
Born in the middle of Canada, born in Saskatchewan, but always wanted to live in BC. So when I was quit school in 16 from my home province, but my home province was really good to me because my mom and dad were music fans. Took me to see Sonny Terry Brown and McGee when I was like 8 years old, and in this town you never expect to see people like that. And so as soon as I was 16, I left home and moved to Winnipeg, which is the next big city over. And I guess by 16 I'd opened up for George Thorogood on a big show in a hall. Mm. And then I opened up for John Lee Hooker when I was 16, and that kind of got the path kind of going. I had a little band called the Hoodoo Man. Oh, right. After that great Junior Wells Buddy Guy record.
So, looking through, I mean, mentored by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Oh, come on, I mean, I'll be shouting from the rooftops if that was me. You know?
Well, we did in a way. I mean, and it was really an unlikely situation. What it was, I was playing with a harmonica player from San Francisco named David Bergen, who's now a motivational speaker for Honda. Yeah? Yeah, Honda America. But David was an amazing harmonica player in that Norton, Buffalo, San Francisco way. And Charlie Muscle, you know, the lineage. And I was young. I was maybe 18 or 19. He had Flying Fish Records coming up from San Francisco to hear him, and he didn't think I was ready. I was young, and he got somebody else to fill my shoes for that. You know, I was kind of bummed out. It kind of hurt my feelings, but I'd moved out to that city to play with him, so I wasn't going to lose my gig. I just said, okay, well, if I'm not ready, I'm not ready, so I'm going to go home and, you know, cry to my mom and borrow $100 or whatever it was I do when I went home. And the phone rang, and a promoter said, hey, can you open up for Stevie Ray Vaughan tomorrow night in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan? And I said, he said, do you have a band? I said, yes, which I did not. And I said, yes. I said, can I phone you back in 20 minutes? Phoned all my friends. Nobody could go. Nobody could do it with me. Everyone was gone. And so I phoned the Saskatoon Jazz Society. Yeah. And I said, hey, I need a drummer and a bass player. I don't care who it is. Can you meet me at the venue at 5 o'clock? Yeah. So two guys show up in a pickup truck with a bunch of drums in the back. And they're, you know, in their 50s. I'm like 19. I said, can you shuffle? Can you play blues shuffle? Yeah, sure, man. Are we playing a wedding or something? I said, no, man. I said, we're playing in the big room. You know, they said, what? Are you kidding? You're going to have like an hour's rehearsal and you're going to go open up for Stevie Ray Vaughan? I said, that's what we're doing, my friends. So we went in a room, we started playing. Stevie comes busting in the door and he says, did I hear you guys don't even know each other? I said, I'm afraid so, man, but I wasn't going to pass this up, you know. He says, that's awesome. And he had a great sense of humor. Stevie was a funny guy, and he loved it. He thought it was hilarious. He had fired his band the night before. That's why I got
He's probably done it himself a few times, yeah.
He fired a band who was like a Rolling Stones cover band, and it was actually produced by Chris Kimsey from England. Yeah, that's right. And it was a very Stonesy record because Chris knows the Stones guys, which I found out later because I worked with Chris because he did my first little big band. Anyway, that night I got up and played about 3 songs, and I busted. almost every string on three strings on my guitar gone. I had no manager. I had nobody with me. And I went behind the PA stack, and I went, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I looked at his, and so it was Rene Martinez, Charlie, his guitar guy, who became quite famous for doing Stevie's guitars. And next thing you know, Stevie handed him a guitar to hand me, one of his Strats. Didn't tell me it was an E flat, and I called up a shuffling E, and we were just like horrible because we were semitone apart. But the next day I got a really, really generous review considering how bad we were. Not great. But Stevie was lovely, and that night I was singing Tin Pan Alley by my favorite artist, Ray Agee. And a lot of people don't know about Ray Agee. He was a San Francisco, tiny dude from San Francisco with polio. But he did 2 songs on one record, Hell of a Thing, I think Tin Pan Alley was on it, and a song called That's a Cold Shot.
Of course.
And I know Stevie loved this record, man.
Yep.
And
every cover band out here loves it as well.
Yeah. And he came busting in my room and he said, oh my God, do you know Ray Agee's version? Because Stevie was a musicologist. He was so deep into it. And so we just kind of became fast friends. And then I opened up for him the next night in my hometown, which was phenomenal for me because I'm a grade 10 dropout. So a lot of my friends from high school were in the audience.
Oh,
they're going, oh my God.
That must have been awesome for you.
It was just because I was a dropout too. I was a grade 10 dropout, so I left those people behind and I left the town behind. And here I was kind of coming back with a bit of a buzz going on. So no, it was an amazing night. We all went out. I got to go on his bus that night and hang out with him. And then the next year came around. I was playing with Billy Cowsill from the Cowsills, which was a big American family band. And Stevie asked if I was around because he needed an opening act in 2 different cities, Calgary and Edmonton. So I did it again with people that I picked up off the street. Again, people I didn't even know. And that changed my life. Next thing you know, I was starting to, Stevie took me to the States and let me tour on the bus for a little while and let me come on for encores and was just extremely generous with me.
Did you get to jam with him?
Oh, yeah. He'd get me up for the encores like in these venues in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Tampa, Florida. There's a site, a Stevie Ray Vaughan site of about every show he's ever played. And it's funny, I go through it because I go, oh, yeah, he got me up there and he got me up there. But it was thrilling. I was so young. And I was so nervous because I think, some people didn't want me on the bus. Stevie was being very generous. He was giving me a hotel room, my own room. Wow. Buying my room, I had no money. I sold my amp and my guitar to get to Austin in the first place. He bought me a plane ticket to Seattle, which I missed the first one because they wouldn't let me over the border, so I had to come down with my uncle. I had to phone up Stevie's secretary, Edie Johnson. I think that was her name. And I said, listen, I'm really embarrassed, but I have to have another could you ask Stevie if he could buy me another ticket? Like, I actually had to ask that because he had bought me the ticket, but I couldn't. So Stevie bought me another ticket. I got to Austin. I stayed at the Stars Motel, and I was broke. I was broke within about 3 days, and I phoned Stevie up and I said, I don't know what to do here, man. Like, I got no more money. I'm at this hotel. Like, I got no money. Yeah. He says, all right, you're coming to Cleveland. So he bought me a ticket to Cleveland. This is crazy, and I got to Cleveland, and he let me tour on the bus for the next, I don't know, maybe 8-10 shows. It was Johnny Copeland was on the tour, and I left them in Denver and flew back to Vancouver going, you won't believe what just happened to me. Did
you get drunk at that story for your lifetime, couldn't you?
Well, I remember just sitting in hotel rooms going, this is insane. Like, what is going on? Because he was my hero, man. Like, I was an Albert King fan. When I first heard Stevie, I thought I was hearing Albert King on David Bowie's record. I didn't.
Last Night's album, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was Albert. I thought, oh my God, Bowie had the wherewithal and the intelligence.
Yeah, actually saw him on that tour.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was Stevie. And then I found that out, and I became a fast fan. And within 3 months of being a fast fan, I was on stage with him, so it was insane. You see, I was booked to play with him in London, England at Albert's Hall or
I was going to go to that.
I was booked. I was the opening act. And I was so excited because I'd never played England. To come in with Stevie was so exciting for me. I was touring the States at the time. Heard the horrible news one morning and just took the sails right out of everyone.
Yeah, I did. I've still got a ticket at home.
Yeah.
I did get a refund, I just kept it.
If you ever find that poster, because people tell me there's posters out there with my name on the opening slot. If you ever see that, I would love to get my hands on it.
All it had was Stevie Ray Vaughan and Guess. Not your name, unfortunately.
Okay, oh my God.
Otherwise, I'll take a photo of it when I get home and send it to you.
And ironically, well, I went to the funeral, so I was at the funeral.
Oh, wow.
Because we shared the same publicist. So Charlie Comer is a Liverpudlian.
Yeah.
He came over with the Beatles to New York. So he was an old-style publicist. Amazing man. He was a publicist for the Bob Marley family.
Oh, yeah.
He was a publicist for the T-Birds. He was a publicist for Stevie. And he was a publicist for the Chieftains. I said that already, right? The Chieftains. Yeah. So that's how I got to know the Chieftains.
Yeah.
Patty Maloney's a friend of mine to this day because of that.
I don't want to interrupt.
You are.
I've been listening.
Great guy, though. Man.
As usual with these interviews, we get interrupted by fans of the certain artists, and this was a pretty intensive one, wasn't he?
yeah. People are so nice.
No, but what you said is true. I mean, it's been a pleasure seeing you on here. It's my first time seeing you.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of my friends in the UK are very envious about this, you know, and they've been raving about you for ages. You know, you got to see this guy. When's he coming over?
Yeah.
Which you never had. But we talk about that later on, obviously. So, you know, after the funeral, you know, I bet that must have been a hell of an occasion, you know, that must have been...
Stevie Wonder sang the Lord's Prayer, Jeff Healey made it down, Billy Gibbons, Bonnie Raitt, and that cemented my friendship with Bonnie Raitt because she'd already sung on my record. Did she already sing on my record already? I can't remember, but she was there and she's funny. And we have Jerry Williams in common. We were both friends of the great songwriter Jerry Lynn Williams, who wrote Pretending and Alibi for Clapton and Running on Faith. We both knew him, and so we had a lot of inside jokes about Jerry because Jerry was quite a character. But it was a trip. It was a trip, you know. And then, because I was supposed to play in England that next week, we flew home, and Los Lobos were nice enough to give us the opening slot at the Town and Country. Yeah. And we came over and played the Town and Country. I had a bad week that week because I think somehow my hand got damaged.
You're not going to say how, are you?
I'm not going to say how. And I got an infection in it while I was on that trip, so I had to go to a very expensive doctor in London on that trip because my hand had swollen up to the size of a baseball bat. So when I did that Los Lobos gig, my hand was all bandaged up. I went to the same doctor who took care of Madonna in London. I remember, man. But anyway, it was terribly tragic. I mean, it was almost like, well, you know what it was like. I mean, it was insane, you know, and it's just terrible. You know, one of those moments that you'll just never forget. But anyway, you know, you think about him and what he might have done, and it's fascinating, if nothing else.
Yeah. Okay. So now recording. Now we've been talking figures here about how many albums you've actually released and what's the studio ones and what are best ofs and what are live albums.
Yeah.
We come to the conclusion that currently you've done 14 studio albums, but you got the next one is coming up next year.
That's right. Yeah.
Hence the title of it, 15.
Yeah.
And we're trying to work the machinations around it because you've actually released 17 albums.
That's right. And the newest one's going to be called Hearts on Fire.
Yeah.
I recorded it in Nashville a few months back with a great band, and Colin Linden is a Nashville guitar player, but he's my friend from Canada. He moved to Nashville maybe 12, 15 years ago. Yeah. And he's done very well. He played in Bob Dylan's band last year. Yeah. I did about 5 shows with Dylan when Charlie Sexton cut out for a few.
That's right.
And we're lifelong friends. He's like about the closest person in the world to me that's not actually my brother. He's like my brother. He's a wonderful man. Wonderful slide guitar player. Wonderful slide guitar player. So he produced this one. We had Willie Weeks on bass, which is thrilling for me. I mean, the Willie Weeks. Played with Donny Hathaway. You know, I mean, with the New Barbarians. He played with the New Barbarians. So that was amazing. And we got George Rosselli on drums, who plays with Bob Dylan's live band, because Colin met him through the Dylan camp. So that was fabulous. And I did a bit of Bill Withers, but mostly it's my own songs. I think they're...
So now you said Bill Withers, you know, he's probably the greatest soul guy to me.
And we did Heartbreak Road, and it's a bit of a rarer song for Bill Withers. And when I first heard it, because Colin suggested it and I didn't get it, And then the next day I was like, going down a heartbreak road. And oh yeah, man, that song is great.
It's got to be done.
But it didn't sound like a hit song, and it didn't sound, some songs sound like they don't have choruses, and you're like, I don't know. And then it grows on you, and you don't know why. It was one of those. So anyway, recorded at the House of Blues, and we just had a great time. It's mostly original. I think there's 13 songs. I recorded Stay by Rihanna on this one, which is bizarre, with 2 acoustic guitars, though. Mm-hmm. And but the rest of it, I do a Bill Withers, I do that, I do the song Geneva Magnus made Dalbert Clinton and her You Were Never Mine, I cut that. But the rest of it's slightly more contemporary, but we decided to keep it a little more on the acoustic side. There's electric guitars, there's a band, but I wanted it to be a little more J.J. Cale. I wanted it to be a little more vibey. Mm-hmm. I didn't really want so much kind of loud guitars. I wanted it to be a little more... Because my last couple records have been more on the rock side. Yeah. So I wanted to do something a little more soulful and a little more acoustic,
Now, you mentioned Jennifer Magnus there.
Yeah.
Now, it's a happy coincidence that you two started jamming together.
Yeah.
I wonder whose fault that was.
Well, probably our mutual friend Colin Linden, because Colin's produced 2 of her records. Yeah. But I've been hearing her name forever. She's heard about my name forever. And there's a lot of people on this boat that I didn't even know I knew. It was so weird. Like... after 25 years or so, I meet Ronnie Baker Brooks at the Montreal Jazz Festival. We have a nice time together, but then 5-6 years go by and I don't see him, and you forget, So it's been really, really invaluable, this trip for me. I mean, and just in reconnecting with some of these wonderful people, man. Bernard has got a heart of gold, Bernard Allison.
Diamond.
Just a heart of gold, and it was so nice to reconnect with him.
Yeah, because you've been jamming away like crazy, haven't you, on this boat?
We've been jamming. We're old friends. I toured with his dad and he through Germany, and I remember sitting with his dad in a room and just having the best time. And his dad was such a beautiful guy, and so that's been invaluable. And Ronnie, meeting Ronnie Baker Brooks, re-meeting Ronnie. What a kind guy. Last night, I wanted to say hi to Taj Mahal. I couldn't.
You saw the show last night, weren't you? You're going to go and see it.
Yeah, well, I'm just kind of shy. I'm a little shy. I don't know if it's, I don't like to get in people's faces. And I said, well, because they cut the line off for people getting an autograph. Yeah. And I was in line.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't get special privilege being an artist then?
Well, I might have, but I don't. I didn't play that card. You're
about the only one who doesn't, I think.
Yeah. And Ronnie Baker came by and said, "What? Are you kidding me?" And he could grab me. He pulled me over to Taj and said, "This guy wants to meet you." So it was really sweet of him, man. That was really awesome.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah.
Absolute legend.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen you jamming. I mean, I remember a few nights ago, there's Bernard now coming through. I remember a while ago.
I talked to Jose. He said he's fine.
Okay.
He's going to go up now where the horns are and ask if they have a trumpet who wants to do it.
Okay, because Diane's the other woman. Deanna.
Bogart?
That's right.
Okay.
So she's a lock.
Okay.
But I got to phone her. I got to get a hold of her after this.
But he'll be up there now.
Okay.
So I just found him.
Okay, I'll head that way. Observation.
All right.
Sorry, folks, that's Bernard Allison just coming through, having a quick chat. I don't mind him interrupting us, He's a legend in his own right.
There you go.
He's a legend. I forgot what my train of thought was now. Jamming, because I remember when you're doing your poolside set, and Bernard got up with you, and Ronnie pushed me out the way and was hooting and hollering in front of me on the side. He's going, excuse me, man, but I've got to do this is a moment,
Oh,
he was going crazy.
Oh my God, that was awesome for me, you see, because, as you know, well, you may or not know, but, I've been stuck in Canada. I mean, I love Canada, and I love the fact that I've been able to maintain a career without really, I had releases in the States in my younger days, but, as it is, the record business isn't exactly... growing exponentially right now, as we both know. So, it's hard to get releases in places where, you can't guarantee sales. So, for me to come on here and have that kind of love shown my way was it was beautiful.
Because I feel like I'm representing the UK on this boat with some of the artists who are not known over there, and I feel very privileged to see these people, especially yourself and Bernard, I know he plays in Europe quite a lot, Bernard, but to see him, and Ronnie very rarely comes over, so it's just incredible. And Dennis Jones, I mean, wow, what a find.
Yeah.
But when I first saw him, he played first note in the guitar, my jaw just dropped. I went,
Yeah.
This is Hendrix.
Yeah, and he looks like he's 32, and he's not.
He's a bit older than
my
that, folks.
Lord.
No, he's a bit older, lady. Sorry about that, but the odd makeup is not dead on men as well, apparently, on this. But he's a lovely guy. I mean, I had a lovely chat with him the other day. He's fantastic.
Oh, he's pretty cool. He's really focused and really grateful for everything in his life. And he's great. Yeah.
That's cool. Now, when you first start recording, what was it like for you? Obviously on the road and you thought, man, I've got to make some records.
Well, you know what? The first guy to ask me if I wanted to make records was Stevie Ray Vaughan, because I was so hell-bent on just being one of the guys. Like, I just wanted to, because as I told you, I quit school, and there's no guarantee in this business. Like, you got to have some luck, you got to have some stick-to-itiveness, and you got to be doing it for the right reason, because if you're doing it for fame, you may not get there. You got to be doing it for love, because if you're doing it for love, everything should fall into place. Should. And when I first said, Stevie says, we want to make records, don't you? And I went, do I? I just wanted to sing like Otis Rush, or I wanted to sing like Stevie Wonder, or I wanted to play like Carlos Santana, or whatever. So I never even thought of it. And so after Stevie, I started getting some hits as far as, some American label interest. And so my first record was with Tom Dowd. They got Tom frickin' Dowd. Well, I know.
Rod Stewart stuff he did.
Well, I know. And it was really mind-blowing for me, and actually pretty scary, because I got signed to a big deal. I got signed to Virgin Records, which was brand new company in the States in particular. Only people on the label at the time was Iggy Pop, Keith Richards, or Iggy Pop and someone else. That was it, and me. Like, that's how early Virgin was in America at the time when I got signed. And now Tom's a legend, but unfortunately, Tom didn't want me to play any blues. So we went down. He flew to Vancouver. He came and saw me open up for Albert King in Toronto. And then I got down to Miami, and he didn't want me to play any blues. He wanted me to play like Eurythmics, like new rock. And I understand now. At the time, I was thinking, what the hell? But I think he was just trying to steer me in a way that didn't, because he just figured it had all been done.
Or was it just for commercial?
Well, he'd already worked with Clapton. He'd already worked with Miles Davis, and everybody. So for me playing blues, I think he thought I was going down a one-way street, and I think he thought he was doing the right thing. I did the wrong thing in not listening to him. I should have cut those Jerry Williams songs. That was my fault. I was being a typical 21-year-old kid, thinking I knew everything. I should have listened a little harder to him. But it was hard, and to be honest with you, we didn't get along great. I'll never forget the stories I heard, though. Like sitting around with Tom, hearing about the day Irma Thomas, or not Irma Thomas, the way the cleanup woman, Betty Wright, you're just making it easy for the cleanup woman to get my man's love. He was there when that was recorded. He says she was holding that sheet in her hand. If you can listen closely to the recording, you can hear that sheet in her hand, because he was there. So that shit was amazing, but it was also very expensive. And we didn't get anything. We got 2 songs. So unfortunately, that put me in against the 8 ball on my very first record, with a very expensive first record. Because then I got Danny Korchmar came in, so I had Bob Rock, Danny Korchmar, Tom Dowd, and Neil Dorfman all on the same record. So it was a confused record. I had pop. I had to have 10 out of 10 originals because I had a publishing contract that was very stringent. So I got penalized for covers. See what I mean? Yeah. So, it was an uneven first record for me. I don't think it was a good record. I think back now, kind of, there's a few songs I'm not proud of, but you learn, right? Like, you don't know all this shit when you're 21. And some people are maybe lucky enough to really nail it on their first record. Some people aren't, and you have to have that longevity, and that's what I'm really grateful in my life, is I've been able to be a dad, have 2 kids. Have a career, ride it out when I was hot, ride it out when I was not, and that's all you can ask for, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
But moving on from that, I mean, obviously, album after album after album, you sort of get the confidence into it. Like going to the studio and saying, no, this is what I want, this is what I want. And, you know, the argument sort of ceases, I suppose, and all the insecurity ceases, you know, and you get more, sort of say, I think the confidence just comes through, doesn't it? And you sit there, I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way, things like that. And then, obviously, you got your little big band.
Yeah. Well, the second record was still a rock record with Joe Hardy. It was more of a ZZ Top thing. That one did better for me. I thought it was a stronger record than my first record, by far. And we had a couple hits. I think we had a number 4 in America on rock radio, so we almost broke on that one. But then, as you know, 1990, 92, 93, out came Pearl Jam, you know.
Yeah.
And it changed the landscape. Like Stevie Ray Vaughan passed. Things went for the grunge. Grunge kind of took over, and you know, the Seattle scene.
Yeah.
And there was a big shift.
I was never a big fan of that, to be honest with you.
Sure, but it happened, and it shifted everything in pop culture at the time. You know, so blues rock really took a slam at that point. Robert Cray wasn't as hot as he was, and I found we were trying to write another rock blues record, but in my guts I thought, why are we bothering? No one's listening to it right now. You know, and I was at the major label where you had to show up on the charts, or else you're gone. You know how that goes. So the idea came to make the Little Big Band record, because when I first started, I loved Jackie Wilson. Jackie, Sam Cooke, Roy Brown, Wynonie Harris, you know, all that stuff was amazing to me, because people always think of the blues as this downtrodden, you know, thing, which it has been. But back in those days, late 40s, when the big band era moved into early rock and roll, that was all, I'm going out and getting laid, I got a great new car, you know, it was pretty joyous stuff. Roy Brown, all that stuff. So I thought, well, so far people don't know that about me, that's kind of my original love. They think that I'm this blues rock thing. So I thought, well, if it's not popular right now, let's do something weird. So we came up with a Little Big Band. So I said, my manager said, who would you like? I said, well, I've always thought the Room Full of Blues sound like the real shit to me. So we phoned up the Room Full of Blues. They said, sure. We got Chris Kimsey, who was going to do my next rock record anyway. So he agreed to do this Little Big Band in 2 weeks, live off the floor. So they all flew into Vancouver. We did the whole record in the time it took Motley Crue to do one solo. Motley Crue were working next door.
Oh, good grief.
Bob Rock was producing them next door. Chris Kimsey came in. Bob says, what are you guys doing? He said, we're packing down. He said, packing down? You guys just got here. He said, we're done, man. Like, we're done the record. We did it all live, you know.
Yeah.
And it was fabulous. And at first, the record sat there and kind of died in Canada. America refused. I was still on an American label. They flew me down to LA and go, dude, we think this is cool, but we don't understand why you'd want to do this. Brian Setzer had not had a swing record out yet. Don't forget.
Oh, right, his orchestra, yeah.
I'm done my first swing record before Brian Setzer had, but you know, by about a half a year.
Well, obviously in the UK, we'd heard of the Brian Setzer orchestra thing. He was done the swing thing, but not the Colin James big band.
And we were. I mean, you know, date-wise, we were there at the time. Setzer was still trying to kind of, he was finding his feet in the world of contemporary music, because the rockabilly thing had kind of waned.
Yeah, the Stray Cats thing of Versus Bubble,
Yeah. So there was no precedent. So they said, listen, we can't do it. We're not going to release this. We think it's really cool, but sorry, man. So Canada released it. And the record sat there for 2 months. It got panned in about 4 reviews, like really badly. And I was sitting there going, holy shit, this is going to die. And then all of a sudden this glimmer came out. Something's going on. Your record starts.
A little peak comes up.
Something's happening. Yeah. And then bam, the thing went haywire, and we sold about 275,000 copies in Canada.
So did you phone up the record company and say, hey guys, you know what you were saying, you know?
Well, we opened up for the Rolling Stones. We opened up 3 shows for the Stones with that band. And the record sold more records than I'd ever sold in my life. In Canada, we sold 275,000 records, which in Canada is almost triple platinum.
That's massive.
So it was massive. And it was a shock. And everyone was shocked. We were fucking shocked. So that was pretty exciting. You know, and then that waned. EMI, I went to Warner Brothers, and I did my first record back, getting back into rock, because that had a life of about 3 years. It did quite well. I didn't make any money because I had so many horn players getting paid in American on the Canadian dollar. So for me, it was sacrificial financially. It was a disaster.
Yeah, but as a to the record company, it said, "Hey, I do know what I'm doing."
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, there was some vindication there for sure. So then a few years went by. I had some other, I had some chance to work with Chris Kimsey again. We had Mavis Staples sang on my song "Freedom."
That's right, yeah.
Which
fantastic
was
song.
Oh my God! And I have a friendship with her to this day because of it. She flew down to Compass Point. We did that down in Nassau. I had Waddy Wattel on guitar. I had Hutch Hutchinson from Bonnie's band. I had Brian Adams drummer, Mickey Curry on drums. Yeah. We had Bobby King and Terry Evans come down and sing a little bit.
Oh, wow.
So we had it all on that record, and we had a fairly successful record. I opened up for Johnny Halliday for 2 weeks in Paris.
He's actually covered one of your songs, hasn't he?
He covered Dry Spell. That's right. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
How cool was that?
Yeah, it was amazing. Well, he came to LA, and I was recording with all the Little Feat guys and everybody down in LA, and of course Chris Kimsey was friends with the Stones. The Stones were recording Voodoo Lounge at the time, so I got to go hang out. I saw them on
that tour, actually.
Yeah, so I got to go hang out with them at the Voodoo Lounge at the A&M Studios.
I've got to hang the other side. I did with the rest of the money-paying public, I'm afraid.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Actually, I got to do 10 shows with Keith Richards on the Take It So Hard tour too, which was fabulous.
I bet that was
There's a picture of me and Keith that it's just unbelievable. If you ever have a chance, on my website there's a place where you can see it. But Keith's about my age now, maybe younger than I am now, and I really value that shot. Anyway, around 1998, I started somebody who I knew was in the swing world, because I got out of it after the Little Big Band. I started doing more contemporary blues rock again. Yeah. I put out an acoustic blues record that was called National Steel. That was all Mose Allison, Willie Dixon, some of my own songs, Tiny Bradshaw. Yeah. We did. And then someone said, I think the swing thing's coming back, and I think it's coming back big. And I went, what? Are you fucking kidding me? I said, I better get my...
I just changed again, yeah.
I got to get... it was long ahead of the curve. Yeah. So I went and recorded with Joe Hardy this time, who's more of a rock producer, but he did a killer job on the Little Big Band too. And I had that thing done again in front of Setzer by about a year and a half, maybe a year, in front of Setzer on the second, when it really blew up with the Jump Jive and Wail.
Yeah, that's right.
My record was done in bagged, and their artwork was done. He was just going in the studio to do Jump Jive and Wail in Nashville. I was done mine.
You were selling already, yeah?
No, but we had no American release, so I had to scrounge up an American release. So we finally got Elektra on board. The swing thing by this time hit so huge. The one in Canada, again, I had a big seller in Canada, but the one in the States took about 8 months too long to get repackaged. They changed the cover, I think, if I remember. They wanted an extra song because Setzer had come out by now. Yeah. So Jump, Jive, and Wail was already out, so I went back in and we cut a Louis Prima song because I thought, Anyway, by the time it came out, I was a Johnny Come Lately. Yeah. Record still did well, but I missed the boat again.
Even they recorded it so far ahead of the time.
America didn't know me, so they said, the first review that came out says, how do you convince people that you've done this before? Call your record Little Big Band 2. So they were slamming me for copycatting. So it's really hurt, man, because that's the second time I was under the wire. Yeah. Before the Royal Crown Review,
It just shows that these guys don't do the history, do they?
No. Yeah. Before Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, before all those bands. Yeah. So, But anyway, I can't complain because the record did well, and I still ended up selling quite a few records. Yeah. But
So the first time you came to prominence to me was on the Limelight album.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I remember you signed it for me the other day.
Yeah.
Really glad I had that with me.
Yeah.
That's what I got on import myself. But there's some great songs that are still in your set now that you play.
Yeah.
I'm watching the River Flow, which I adore that song.
Should I do it again tonight?
Well, going back to the big band, you're actually revisiting that tonight, aren't you? You're going to have a horn section on board.
I hope so. Yeah. It's been a little dicey because she came up to me today, one of the horn players said, I can't find a trumpet.
Oh, they're still sobering up, are they?
So I just don't know if they can do it. So I'm going to wait till the last minute because if they're not going to commit, then I'm not going to commit my band because they don't know the Little Big Band stuff that well. Yeah. And I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. So I'm going to wait and see. But maybe.
Yeah. Okay, that'd be cool. Now, all of your recordings now, you've actually culminated now in a current release at the moment, which is 25 Live, which is not 25 albums, but 25 years in the business. So yeah, you look back and thinking, when you first started and you know you're on stage and your string was breaking, the Stevie Ray Vaughan, and you're sitting going, I'll never make 25 weeks, you know, so 25 years.
Yeah, well, you never know, as you know, you never know, and no, I've managed to keep in the game, and really, it's all I ever wanted, you know. I've always just wanted to be a player, singer, and make it my life, you know, and I feel so grateful. I really do. I feel so grateful.
It's a great live show as well, and I've seen you twice now. Paul Deck, and the first time was in the Stardust Lounge, where I videoed some, and the speaker was actually your keyboard player from where I was sitting. I really positioned myself really badly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I thought the piano's never that side, it's always that side, you know.
Yeah, right.
The only time I heard it was the other side.
Right.
So I never got to see it. But
no.
And also had a charming chat with your other guitar player, Chris, who's got his own band. Charming guy.
Yeah, he's just a great guy. We just get along so well, you know. Yeah, I just, you know, when he was 15, he did one of my songs in a high school talent contest, you see, and he showed me it. He says, you know, National Steel, this song I wrote. He did it when he was 15, so he was a big fan of Jeff Healey, big fan of mine, big fan of a bunch of guitar players, and for him, you know, he didn't think he'd meet me, let alone play with me. So now he might regret it now, but he's just the sweetest guy. You know, he's just the sweetest guy. We just have a ride together. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Now, for the listeners to the Blues and Soul Show, can you pick 3 tracks from your current 25 Live album and give us a little brief story behind why you picked each one? Okay.
Well, let me see here now. I would pick "Fool for You." It's kind of a retro song. It definitely, like if I do another Little Big Band song, I might consider it because it's a little retro, but not totally committing to retro. But I think that one's just got a nice retro vibe with the reverb on the guitars, and I'll pick that one. I'll pick "Man's Gotta Be a Stone." You know, that I got that idea on a beach one day. I was singing to myself, Papa was a Rolling Stone. I was walking along the beach, and it just turned into "Man's Gotta Be a Stone." I love a boogie. I was sick of doing "Keep On Loving Me, Baby," which has been a boogie I've been doing all my life by Willie Dixon Otis Rush's version. So I needed another boogie, and so I love this song because it's given me another boogie in my set that I wrote. So I'll pick that one. I think I would pick. And I'm going to pick songs that I wrote, but I could pick others. I mean, Into the Mystic, I love, but just because I love Van Morrison, you know.
Well, I think the song that you're mainly known for, I think, is Just Came Back.
Just Came Back.
Which I think, that for me is one of my favourites in the live show.
Oh, that's right on. Well, you know, it's a funny thing. That song, everyone picked it out like as that was going to be.
It's got the hook. I was at the songwriting forum yesterday. It's just all about the hook.
Yeah,
it's the hook.
It's about the hook. It's got the line. It's got the hook. And you know, I have to admit, I co-wrote it with somebody else, and there was a time where I wasn't crazy about that song. In fact, I tried to sabotage that song to the record company.
Yeah.
On the demo, I thought it was a little too obvious. I think I thought it was too obvious. You know, play on words, it's a little cute, and I thought, I don't know, man. So in the demo, I went, I put these kind of gothic background vocals on trying to sabotage it. Record company got it, #1 pick. Producer got it, #1 pick. I'm like, all right. And we finished it, and I did that little Robert Johnson intro.
Yeah.
And Joe Hardy, the engineer, oh my God, Joe is responsible for a lot of the Billy Gibbons, a lot of the ZZ. He did Copperhead Road for Steve Earle.
Yeah.
Big song. And he just, man, he's good at compression. Like, he knows how to boot compression, so it's just like a vocal hits you right between the eyes. And it was like sonically a trip, you know, and it blew it open for me. It really did well. Like, I had no idea how it was going to do, and it did really well, so that was exciting.
Well, it's a great song for radio. Driving along, man, that's people going to be window down, singing away to it.
Did you know BAP did a cover of that? Remember that German band BAP? Did you know who they are?
No.
They're like a big German, I don't know what they'd be in Germany. I guess they'd be, but I guess they're a big band in Germany. They covered it.
Not in the UK, I'm afraid. No.
No, there you go. Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's very few German artists get through in the UK, I'm afraid, apart from Scorpions or something like that.
Yeah, right. I ended up on a plane with the
Or
Scorpions.
Nina, wherever it is, 99 Red Balloons or something. Yeah.
99.
Yeah, we won't go down that road. No. Yeah. Both versions got in the charts, German and English. Yeah, that's cool. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me.
Pleasure's mine.
Looking forward to the new album coming out.
All right.
Next year.
Yeah.
And wish you all the best for that. And hopefully it won't be too long before you get to the UK.
I hope so.
Yes, promoters out there.
Yes,
Get
please.
this guy over. He's a star, trust me. He's knocking them dead on here. Knocking them dead.
All right.
That's great. Thank you very much, Colin.
Thank you so much.